and wide-scale action is not taken to be more sustainable. In response to the urgent and pressing global call for sustainably produced palm oil, the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil was formed in 2004 with the objective of promoting the growth and use of sustainable palm oil products through the credible global standards and engagement of stakeholders. The latest stakeholder to aim to meet the requirements of the RSPO standards is SPAR International. SPAR has employed a new group of managers to improve SPAR's business reputation to be a sustainable one. Back to the studio to outline the policies and practices these managers will undertake.
Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. We are the new group of managers entrusted by SPAR with the future of its palm oil use. Palm oil is an edible plant oil derived from palm trees. It's used in 50% of all packaged food products as well as cosmetics. The cultivation of unsustainable palm oil causes widespread and immeasurable harm to the environment by deforestation by burning, pushing species such as the Sumatran tiger, rhinoceros, orangutan, and the Asian elephant to the brink of extinction. Often the burning is uncontrolled, causing wildfires. The destruction of peatland plantations releases CO2 into the air, a major cause of global warming. To encourage change in the industry, WWF has produced a scorecard of palm oil buyers, in which we, SPAR International, are ranked bottom with a score of 0. As a company and as human beings, we have an ethical and environmental responsibility to our planet to change the way in which we obtain palm oil.
SPAR is a food retailing company created in 1932. It was first known as the SPAR and is now known as SPAR, which stands for We All Benefit from Joint Cooperation. SPAR International was launched in 1953. Its aim is to develop and coordinate SPAR around the globe. As a result of the development of SPAR International, SPAR is now present in 30 countries and is represented by not less than 12,000 stores worldwide. SPAR International is responsible for organizing a strategy to improve sustainability. Nevertheless, SPAR International has not taken actions regarding sustainable palm oil and is still buying non-sustainable palm oil. In contrast to SPAR, Sainsbury's is a major activist in promoting the use of sustainable palm oil. Sainsbury's is also a grocery retailer founded in London in 1869. The company is a founding member of the RSPO and declared to the press that by 2014 they will use only sustainable palm oil.
Now I'm going to explain the Palm Oil Scorecard. The Palm Oil Scorecard is an evaluation of European companies and their purchasing practices on palm oil. It was designed by WWF in an effort to separate and promote companies who are environmentally friendly or point out those businesses that are effectively destroying the world's rainforests and have little regard for poorer regions around the globe. The card has two real purposes. It informs the public of which companies have a better environmental stance. It also motivates companies to be more sustainable, to improve their own public image, but also to help the environment and local communities that create and cultivate palm oil. There are two sections to the scorecard. The first section relates to these 4 questions created by WWF, which evaluate the company performances based on publicly available data. The second section relates to direct contact with each of the businesses. WWF contact the company and give them draft scores. The company is then given the chance to produce its own information and answer the set questions. This new information is taken into account and the old scores are updated. They are then shown back to the company before being made public.
I'm sure by now all of you have a good understanding of the palm oil problem, but I'd just like to repeat it once more. Palm oil can only be grown in environmentally sensitive areas across the globe, and there's pressure to increase its oil production. This will have obvious environmental effects on these areas, deforestation and climate change, to name but a few. Also, destruction to local communities who are dependent on the land for survival. So in 2004, we see the development of the RSPO by the WWF, and what this aimed to do was promote the growth and sustainable use of palm oil across the globe. Now, its 2 objectives can be split down the middle into 2 groups. Firstly, production side, which aim to link all the supply members of the palm oil chain up. Secondly, set out strict criteria for them to follow with regards to palm oil sourcing. Secondly, a consumer side, which aim to communicate the results with the general public.
As managers of SPAR, we need to focus on a number of responsibilities, such as those shown in Figure 1. Discretionary responsibility is a company's desire to make social contributions and is purely voluntary. We want to promote using sustainable palm oil to increase the awareness to local communities, hopefully resulting in them supporting our cause and buying our products. With regards to our ethical responsibility, as previously stated, palm oil only grows in the tropics, having negative impacts as a result of their cultivation. We aim to act with equity and fairness, respecting the rights of all individuals involved. Our legal responsibilities are defined by complying within the laws and regulations given by the government. Now, our economic responsibilities, we understand that in the short term, the use of sustainable palm oil techniques may not adhere to the notion of maximum profits. The key to success will be the willingness of the end consumer and the supply chain to pay a higher premium for oil-produced goods. We also need to have responsibility for the triple bottom line, shown in Figure 2. It emphasises that these factors contribute towards the goal of sustainability. Maintaining a sustainable business practice shows our duty of care to the environment and ongoing sustainability of our planet.
It is in our interest to achieve a good rating for sustainability. Through sustainable practice, we can develop a competitive advantage over rivals, and by improving ethical practice, show an evolution in the company's moral development. In sourcing unethical, non-sustainable palm oil, old management demonstrated a utilitarian approach to decision-making. Managers acted in the economic interest of the company and believed the greatest good was in the form of maximum return to shareholders. A more socially acceptable method of decision-making would involve the moral rights approach. This states all individuals have fundamental rights which cannot be compromised by the actions of any one individual. Switching to sustainable palm oil could only bring positive publicity to the company. Moving to sustainable palm oil is explained by the model of personal moral development. Previous managers demonstrated a pre-conventional level of moral development. Decisions were made with extrinsic rewards in mind, characterised by the use of the cheaper, non-sustainable palm oil. By moving up the model, we can demonstrate the evolution of management thinking, making decisions guided by an internal set of values, backing up a good reputation of good corporate citizenship. The final way of generating a competitive advantage over rivals lies with the 8 sustainable practices model. Currently, we implement some of the practices listed and are fairly environmentally conscious. In 2010, we set up the Strategy to Sustain project and deal with energy efficiency, pollution prevention, and pay attention to the 4 Rs. However, we could do more. Sainsbury's implements many sustainable initiatives and has a strong reputation of ethical practice. We could achieve such a status and should target all 8 practices by moving to the sourcing of sustainable palm oil. Currently, the company does not achieve the goals of cleaner production, eco-efficiency, and design for the environment, considering that many products contain an ingredient which in production damages the environment. So why does all this matter? Well, according to Walker Research, 2/3 of consumers faced with equal quality and equal price would choose a sustainably produced product over a non-sustainable rival. This is particularly relevant in the supermarket industry, where many products are homogeneous. Sustainable practice has numerous benefits in differentiating a company over another. It's a good marketing tool, beneficial in driving down long-term costs, and can keep hold of and attract the strongest employees.
We've thus proved to you why it's vital for SPAR to join the RSPO. So how do we go about doing this? Well, firstly, we need to fill out an application form, which can be done online via the RSPO website. Then agree with the RSPO conduct and statutory bylaws. Finally, we can gain approval from the executive board. After this, we need to create a company policy on the sustainable use of palm oil. Basically, we need to set our sights on 100% CSPO usage by 2015. By doing this, we'll be using products with the least possible impact on the environment, protecting damage to vital land, ensuring biodiversity remains in the land, and finally protecting communities whose lives are dependent on the land. Finally, how do we make sure our objectives are achieved and that they are successful? Well, firstly, we need to communicate our policy with our suppliers and encourage them to adhere to it. Secondly, we need to develop a robust traceability system so we can have full understanding of where our palm oil is coming from and what type of palm oil it is. And finally, on the product shelf, we need to label our products correctly so that our consumers can identify the products that do contain palm oil.
Through the application of sustainable business models, SPAR International will be able to become a top 10 company of the WWF Palm Oil Scorecard. As a company, SPAR believes it has an ethical and environmental responsibility to the planet and is willing to make changes to business practice in order to improve, with particular reference to the use of sustainable palm oil. SPAR has recognised it has discretionary, ethical, legal and economic corporate responsibilities, and it has the power to make changes to limit the negative social and environmental effects non-sustainable palm oil usage has. As a company, it has realised its previous management methods were pre-conventional. Moving to the future, it needs to be post-conventional and recognise the corporate social responsibility it has by taking into account the welfare and interests of society. Furthermore, SPAR is willing to work to the 8 sustainable business practices in order to improve. From the theory studied, SPAR has come up with a range of strategies to combat the problem. Firstly, SPAR will join the RSPO and as a result will source CSPO products from their suppliers, aiming for 100% CSPO by 2015. It will implement robust traceability systems to ensure palm oil is correctly sourced, and it will label its products to ensure consumers know they are buying sustainable products. As studies show, 2/3 of consumers would rather buy sustainably. To remain sustainable, SPAR International understands it needs to meet the requirements and desires of the present consumer without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Henceforth, action will be taken by this company to improve business practice to be sustainable, with minimal social and environmental impact. Thank you for listening.
Does anyone have any questions?